Give me just a second. Sergio?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I guess I'll start off with an introduction. So, hello everybody. My name's Sergio Ramirez. I'm currently a computer science major at CSUN. I'm a senior, so this will be my last semester. And I chose to do this pitch on mental health because I believe it's something extremely important to address and to be made aware of, and more specifically how it ties into the college setting. So, like I want you all to kind of try to recall an instance in college, if it's applicable, where you kind of realize like your mental health was kind of deterring. So maybe if you felt like anxiety or depression were kind of creeping in. Personally, I have felt some anxiety during my 4 years. So like an example of that would be like um, I've made it a habit to go on Canvas, and Canvas is an application where you can check like your grades and assignments. And I've made it a habit to check my grades like almost as if it was like checking social media. So I'll just log on there and check my grades like like every like 10 minutes, even though most of the time it remains the same. So I've gotten so kind of like stuck in the idea of checking like the percentage when I feel like I should be more focused on like, what I'm learning from the classes. And I just feel like that's something that, we're kind of pushed towards, just checking percentages and making sure we get like that grade. And sometimes for that reason, we kind of risk our mental health. And another firsthand or anecdotal experience is like I've seen a lot of my peers kind of, they're intelligent, but they just kind of neglect their mental health, and I've seen them kind of have to leave like their education behind just because they have to take a break. So, in a time where we must remain at home and keep social distance, I invite. In a time where we must remain at home and keep social distance, like the youth or young adults, like their mental health is drastically decreased. And I invite you all to understand the plight of college students in regards to mental health. And so now I'll begin my presentation. So yeah, so this is this social or mental health space is called my mental health space. And it's going to be using AI to kind of create and track students like mental health status, put them in like support groups, and try to help them out in many different ways. Next slide, please. So 19,600,000. I just want to give y'all a second to kind of like try to guess what that number represents. So if you can click next, it'll show. Yeah. So this is actually the active number of college students in the U.S. Believe this is kind of an older statistic, but it still kind of shows like just the magnitude of currently enrolled college students, and it kind of highlights why I feel like mental health, like it affects a really big portion of the population. And next slide, please. So these are the big three that I found in terms of mental health. So it was anxiety, depression, and eating disorders. So anxiety would be like the feelings of worry, uneasiness, and fear that can become strong enough to interfere with your daily activities. And then there's depression, which that can affect how you feel, think, and handle daily activities. And then eating disorders, these can be really serious and often fatal illnesses that are associated with, your your eating behaviors and related thoughts and emotions to those being disturbed. Next slide, please. And so this is the idea of like the mental health space. So mental health issues are common in young adults traversing the college setting. And with that number that I showed you guys prior, that's a huge number. So it does genuinely affect a lot of people. So by the age of 25, over 75% of students who will have a mental disorder will have already experienced their first onset, which is actually a pretty crazy statistic. And so, it can impede your success, cause emotional, behavioral, and physical health problems. And, my proposed solution for that would be like this mental health space. It's a non-traditional social platform with a target audience of college students. It's supposed to be a safe space for students to be able to meet other students who are in a similar mental setting. And I'll talk more about this in a future slide. And it's also a medium to encourage creation of communities and groups of like-minded individuals. And so now I'll talk about the process. Next slide, please. So this is the process. It starts with initiation. So we'll have users complete a thorough mental health evaluation and questionnaire through their school's counseling center. And then we'll have that student do some sort of personalization. So, they'll sprinkle their interests, passions, and issues that they feel comfortable sharing. And then our third and last step will be a group/community/resource recommendation. So based on the information they give us and the information from their questionnaire, we kind of, we make predictions and try to put them into wellness groups and share information that we believe they would benefit from seeing. And then, so now I'm going to talk about how we would apply artificial intelligence, making smart predictions using data. So this is the process. We'll have a database of several thousands of college students already created. So, as the amount of users increases, we will continue to increase that database. We'll use various data mining techniques on that database. And then we're going to pair that with some artificial intelligence techniques to make amazing predictions. And some of these predictions include the recommendation of wellness groups to join. So if we, if our algorithm believes that you could potentially benefit from this group, we'll recommend that group to you. And of course, you'll have the option to either join or not join. We also want to recommend the mental health topics to follow. So if we think you could benefit from hearing about like an eating disorder specific idea, we'll recommend that to you. And then we also want to streamline like relevant mental health topics. So if a certain like idea or coping mechanism is kind of it's becoming really relevant, we want to share that information with you as well. And so this is an example of it's not a complete data set, but this is just an example of what the data set would have like a depression risk, anxiety risk, and we want to group them into a certain class. Like maybe they fall into like the depression or anxiety class, or they're at risk for anxiety. And then we also want to provide a student analysis as well. So we want to show the strengths that we believe the student has, or their interests, their opportunities. That's a big thing that we're going to kind of take a recommendation towards or a liking towards. And then mental health, of course. And we want to display this information in a way that's understandable and visually good to look at. And so the next logical question would be, what are the risks to this? And the first question is it safe to share my sensitive and personal information? my response to that would be, we're going to try to be as secure as possible. And if students opt to want to not be on that platform anymore, we'll delete their information from the database. What if our recommendations are incorrect, or we assess someone incorrectly? So the AI algorithm is going to be behind like most of these predictions, but we're always going to have like some sort of human validation. So it goes both ways. Like the user will be able to, if they feel like they're not assessed correctly, they'll be able to ask for further assessment. But at the same time, whatever assessment we do make, we're always going to have some sort of human actually making a validation to see if that was accurate. And then the next question is, what if the AI is biased? And it certainly can be biased. We're going to try our best to make, like when we create this, to make this as least biased as possible. That means we're going to have a large variety of different people, different cultures, settings, just bringing a collection of ideas so that we don't have a specific or singular way of thinking. And then the last question is, is there any human kind of overlooking these decisions? And yeah, we're going to have somebody kind of always making sure that they're valid predictions. And so this is kind of like the resulting solution from this. So, because of this, we can better identify and address any serious issues and refer them to counseling if needed. We're also giving students a place to be vocal and share their voice. And then we're also, communities will grow, and, peers will be sharing amongst each other, which is really great in terms of like, bringing forth like a community or fostering a community. More individuals will become aware of mental illnesses, and I feel like it'll destigmatize the idea of seeking counseling, because that's still something that a lot of people don't tend to do. And then since all our recommendations are done via an AI system, students will find that they'll be given a lot of extremely relevant and useful information. And so I leave y'all with this quote, which is, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams," by Eleanor Roosevelt. And with that, that concludes my pitch.
Yeah, very nice.
That was amazing.
you.
Feel free to use the reaction emojis on your Zoom to give some positive feedback to Sergio. If you have any questions for him, please put it in the chat. We will address all the questions at the end of the presentation. So next up, we have Alexis. Ooh, are you ready? Let's bring you up to the spotlight. Let me make sure I got your presentation on here.
Can I go third? Sorry, I got to set up. I had to move my car for parking. Boo, parking enforcement.
So that would be Gilberto. Am I saying it right, Gilberto? Please correct me if I am butchering it.
No, you're saying that's fine.
Is that fine or is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, I will take that. Okay, so let me set you up and let's get going.
Okay, hello guys. Good morning. Thank you guys for being here with us. I'd like to start off with my name. My name is Gilberto Sosa, and I'm here to tell you about why traffic in LA County needs AI. Growing up in the inner city, things were pretty centralized and close. Yet when I moved out of the city and into LA County, it became abundantly clear what traffic meant. It meant longer commutes for displaced individuals who still work in the city but are outpriced to live by it. So how many hours would you say you travel to and from work daily? What would your number be if we added those numbers lost in a year? Next slide, please. So now we have red anger. So how do we get past? And getting off on the next exit also isn't an option if you're nowhere near home. You might have to tell whoever that your attendance to their recital game, or graduation is on hold for the moment. Next slide, please. So this is a map of LA County and its population density. As we can see, the darker hues of green represent land where concentration is largest. Next slide, please. Similarly, those same communities also present themselves as the lower earning populations more inland. As we can see, the coastlines have the darker hues of purple, which indicate a 15 to 65% of the population that earn greater than 150,000 a year. Whereas the beige to tan, I'm not sure if I'm getting that those colors correct, inland, represent 5 to 15 and 0 to 5. Now, next slide, please. So here we have is here's a graph provided by the Census Bureau, and it's saying that since the 90s, we have seen a 64% increase in 90-minute one-way commutes. I guess that's why they call it the 90s. Ouch. Next slide, please. So here I have a statistic saying that studies have showed that new couples with commutes larger than 45 minutes are 40% more likely to get divorced. So the cost of convenience in a fast-paced lifestyle gives rise to fast food. Fast food consumption leads to well-known chronic health effects, but also has lesser-known implications. The instant satisfaction of food discourages the appreciation of where food comes from and robs us of bonding time that could be spent cooking with one another. In short, our quality of life is under attack. Next slide, please. So this is a street here, I believe, in Culver City. So get the memo, Cloverdale. It's just what's going on. I guess Cloverdale is the only one that got the memo here. So a solution being popularized is smart cities. Yet, if these cities were to be done, cameras will have to be installed for 24/7 surveillance of roads and would need personnel to monitor them. Not only is this a significant capital investment, it also raises privacy concerns. This is where companies like Waze, Google Maps, Apple Maps, and Uber could step in and lend their information for traffic lights to make better decisions in real time. Next slide, please. So here shown is a map of what Google shows as traffic on a weekday morning. Southbound traffic from up north use the 14, 5, and 405 South freeways. Likewise, northbound traffic from the south can be seen from the 110, 60, and 10 freeways. So this is at 7:40 in the AM. Okay, next slide, please. Now this is PM traffic. Let's go home. Why does it look worse in the morning? This is horrible. So automating traffic lights of select streets that run parallel to impacted freeways will minimize commuting. Applying it to key points like the Angeles Forest bottleneck and the Southeast roads, we will be able to raise the standard of living for everyone. Giving the option to take the streets in an efficient way will allow them to stop waiting and live life as intended. Next slide, please. So this is here just a diagram showing you if your commute is one way, you will spend, and there's corresponding values here at the bottom. So if AI can ensure that you maintain a modest yet constant speed out of the county, how much time would you save and how would you spend it? And with that being said, that concludes my presentation. Thank you guys so much.
All right. That was an amazing presentation. That joke about the 90s. Okay. All right. I'm gonna take that as a jab for us, some of us. All right. So Alexis, are you ready to present? Give me a thumbs up, come to the screen. Remember, if you have questions for the presenters, please put it in the chat so that we can follow up later. Alexis, you know what, how about this? Because it seems like she might be still getting ready. I'm going to jump to the amazing. Now, I'm definitely going to butcher your name, so please forgive me. Aleda.
You said it correctly. Yeah.
Hold on. I'm feeling myself. Thank you. Hold on. Let me get your presentation ready. All right.
Oh, well, okay. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to thank you all for being here today. And for my AI pitch, I will be focusing on agriculture, food scarcity, and urban gardening. I chose this topic really because growing up in South LA and East LA, you really see the divide when it comes to having healthy food options. You know, I was that kid growing up. I was that family where my mom had to work long hours. So a lot of the time, our only food options was fast food. And one, because it was cheap, and two, because it was available. And especially since your local grocery store is about 30 minutes away. And recently, a couple of months back, because of the pandemic, me and my brother had to take a second job doing Instacart. And doing those deliveries, you really get to see Los Angeles for what it is. I challenge everyone here to, just take a drive through South LA and then up into Hollywood. My personal experience is delivering. I barely seen any fast food places up in Hollywood. And there's just like a plethora of grocery stores up there. But when you come down here, there's a McDonald's on every block. There's the Taco Bells, there's Burger King. There's all that stuff. This is constant for a lot of people down here. So, and the short answer is I feel like we need more community gardens, farmers markets, and better grocery stores. And with my AI pitch, I hope to bridge the gap between urban communities and healthier food options using AI. And so I want to introduce to everyone Vega, the first vertical artificial intelligent growth assistant. And I just have a little video. So
For so long, minority communities have suffered from not being able to obtain affordably and healthy food in their own neighborhoods. This is the product of being in food deserts and living in socioeconomic disparities. Lack of affordable, healthy food has led to many health problems that fester in minority communities, such as heart disease, obesity, and hunger. Instead, we constantly feed ourselves affordable yet unhealthy foods that only aid all these issues. Scientists say that by 2050 the world will need to feed about 9.8 billion people. Unfortunately, the Earth had a limited amount of resources, which means we'll have to be smart with them. How are we supposed to conquer this issue when our minority communities are suffering? How are we supposed to aid in helping this problem, you ask? With AI, of course. I introduce to you Vega, the first AI farming assistant. Using vertical farming, Vega is a tall metal shelf composed of multiple layers where crops will take root. But this isn't just any shelf. This is a smart shelf which, depending on what crop you decide to grow, it will adjust accordingly to appropriate watering, lighting, and it will notify you if there is anything wrong with your crops by taking weekly pictures to ensure a successful harvest. Some issues that may arise would be from needed maintenance and loss of jobs on a large scale due to the fact that Vega is a hands-off machine that needs little human help. But there are so many benefits to reap. Vega offers reliable year-round crop production because it is not weather dependent. It saves space to plant more crops, reducing environmental degradation, habitat loss, and animal extinction. As well as there is no reason to use pesticides on our food from it being in an enclosed environment. It also minimizes water usage using hydroponics and recycling. The Vega is very energy efficient and lowers labor cost, but jobs are still needed for planting, harvest, and technical maintenance. For a more sustainable and more brighter future, choose Vega. Grow better, live better, Vega.
Amazing presentation. Okay, amazing, amazing, amazing. All right. I mean, I love all the emojis. Make sure that if you have any questions for that presenter, please put it in the chat and we will address them at the end. All right, Alexis, are you ready? Dun, 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 dun.
Yes.
Woohoo. Okay, give me a second and I will have your pitch up. Oh, look, here I am trying to be ready. Bear with me. It seems like the pitch just disappeared. It knew just because I was going to do this. It was like, no.
I just want to take this moment, you guys. This is Kim, and I have my camera off because my bandwidth is a little low, it says. But we're just so happy for the show of support and love from all of you that have joined us this morning. It really means a lot.
Okay, so hey everyone, I'm Alexis, and I'm a bachelor's in social work major at Cal State LA. And my pitch, I don't know, it just came to me because I feel like caseworking is like that, and driving are like the hardest parts of the social work job, in my opinion. I don't know, but yeah, as a former foster youth, I feel, and then um yeah, and then also I think we can really bridge the gap also between like really understanding how people, like how emotions and how like tone of voice are very important, especially in the field of social work, because I don't know, it's like what really helps us do our job. So yeah, now I'm going to move into my pitch. So, I'm pretty sure everybody knows about the trials of Gabriel Fernandez, and like what happened there, and how the mom was lying, and how the social workers really didn't have accountability. So if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest you do. And the next slide, please. So the documentary exposes the flaws and failures in our current social services system. And then there's numerous social workers that were repeatedly unable to identify the risks that Gabriel's mother and her boyfriend posed to them, or well, to him. And then like she lied on calls. Um, and I don't know how. And like when social workers came, somehow she was able to say that like he wasn't there, and like I don't know, that's kind of crazy to me. But like I guess it's just because a lot of the caseworkers were very overloaded, and the obvious data and figures that posed evidence of Gabriel's abuse slipped through the cracks, and it was like extremely overlooked. So my question is, how can we prevent this from happening again? Next slide, please. So the solution would be the AI Casey, and then it's an artificial intelligence program that assists social services caseworkers to alleviate the considerable administrative burdens by freeing up time for more critical tasks, and then improving decision making and delivering faster services. The AI Casey could have identified the risk based on age, history of calls, history of mental illness, the existing criminal records of Gabriel's mother and her boyfriend, and more. And then by removing the human bias and evaluating cases based on data, I'm quite sure that Gabriel's life might have been saved. And I also think that it would have helped the social workers really have that accountability and do their job like efficiently, because it would have already like came up with those like algorithms, and also would have already written like a report and everything, so the social worker could have really spent a lot of time focusing on actually like finding Gabriel and actually meeting with the family, instead of just checking the box saying that they met. And then next slide, please. So from the passive capture of emotional data on calls to augmentation of paperwork. So because social work follow-ups are so often done by phone, AI Casey also integrates, I can't say that word, I'm so sorry, emotion AI technology into its system and evaluates the responses in real time. And by capturing user-generated data and comparing reactions to certain stimuli, AI Casey's machine learning algorithms can recognize human behavioral patterns with a high degree of accuracy. And then the results are better and able to identify when someone is lying, or respond to a rise in anger, or raise a flag if someone poses a suicidal or drug use relapse risk, and more. And for social workers who are often overworked and interact with so many people every week, this kind of real time insight can be invaluable to prioritize cases, intervene more accurately, and make the right decisions in high pressure situations. Next slide, please. So, as a part of the KDA agreement, counties across the state of California must be in compliance with an average of 14 children per caseworker. However, in 2016, Palmdale's DCFS office alone averaged between 30 to 34 children per caseworker. So that's a lot. I mean, there's only 30 days, 30 to 31 days in the calendar. And I don't know, like to write a report, to write new case reports, to do investigations, to like do follow-ups, to find resources. There's like not enough time to do all that. And the next slide, please. So LA County is currently facing a social worker shortage due to the Gabriel Fernandez case. Social workers' positions are at all-time lows, as many social workers quit within months due to too much pressure and fear of facing legal prosecution if their cases lead to. Next slide, please. Oh, oops. So our current system needs change. Our system needs accountability, but that doesn't mean prosecuting social workers and using them as a scapegoat for problems of like larger institutions and larger like bureaucracies, and I don't know, it's like a systemic institution because there's like a lot of things we need to change. So it means implementing AI into social services, and that is AI Casey. I think that's the last of my slides. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your presentation. Again, give back the emoji reactions, everyone. And as well, we're getting very close to our panel discussion where we're going to go over your questions and provide answers and feedback. So at this point for the questions, Jalissa, can I bring you to the stage to start identifying some of the questions that have been posted in the chat?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Tavier. We have one question so far, and thank you, Alexis. That was a beautiful presentation. We have a question from Stephanie for Eleda, and she was just asking, so that she's clear, Eleda, you want to create an urban garden that are managed by AI.
Yes, yeah, Vega is But yeah, for urban community, well, for anything, it could be go industrial too. But the idea was for urban communities and it is AI yet to grow better food so we can have access to that. But yes.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any other? Looks like fresh produce. Yes. Oh, there's some amazing feedback, great positive feedback in the chat. Definitely about AI Casey. Um, while we have just a few moments, does anyone would like to unmute themselves and ask a specific question or provide direct feedback to the participants? Don't be shy.
I have a couple of comments, if that's okay. Actually, I have a lot of comments, so Kim and Derek might get personal notes to each of you from me later because I took so many notes. But this was really, really impressive. Working in tech, I see a lot of technologists who want to develop new technology just for the sake of like, what's the coolest thing we can build, right? But I loved that all of you came up with ideas that were equally as innovative and exciting, but you could tell how much time and thought and effort you put into really thinking about what are the human impacts of this, right? And both the positive impacts, and you all thought about, you know, what are the potential negative impacts, and you weren't afraid to bring that up and start the discussion about those things so that you could solve them. I also love that you all introduced your presentation with a candid personal anecdote, you know, and explained what it is, why you decided to present on something like this, why it came to your mind. One of the things that we try to do at the AI Education Project is, you know, we want to inform people about these issues, but we also need to convince them that they should care about this, right? Whether they're technical or not. And I think you did exactly that by making it super relatable for all the presentations. So I was very, very, very impressed with all of it.
Thank you, Christina, for such feedback. That's amazing. Do we have anyone else that want to unmute themselves and give the participants some additional feedback?
I wanted to jump on. This is Aura Tanner from the AI Education Project. I'm super excited because just seeing the level of understanding from, I believe I spoke with the students like on the first day, and this is what has resulted after only like a week or two. So just that you have reached this level of understanding in such a short amount of time. So I can only imagine, you know, if you were to like work on this for a month or a couple of months, that you could actually possibly partner with organizations to actually find a way to use AI to actually solve some of these problems. And even Mr. Gordon, Derek himself, when he came on, sounding like an excerpt, like you're from our team about, we don't really have to be that alarmed about AI. So I love seeing that across all of the pitches. It wasn't like you were very measured in your thinking about what exactly AI can and cannot do. Because normally people think, oh, AI can do anything, but no, it cannot. You know, it's good at, you know, simple rote types of tasks that can, you know, save time. So just seeing these very different case studies that were very, as Christina said, personal to you was just super impressive just to see just your depth of knowledge in a short amount of time to address real issues. And I also like that you all kept a human in the loop. It wasn't just, let AI do this thing and it's gonna be awesome. It was like, you understand the balance that AI is a tool. It's not just an end all be all. So I just wanted to snaps, if you wanna call it, claps, all of that. These were like fantastic.
Thank you, thank you. At this time, I'd love for the cohort, the participants, to maybe unmute yourself and share your future plans. What are your future plans?
Future plans in terms of like with AI or what?
Are we thinking future plans with the projects and where you're going in that direction? Career, forgive me, career, for your future career plans.
I guess I'll start. I don't know. I just want to use all the skills I learned and stuff to really help advocacy and like change different systems. California Youth Connection is one of the nonprofit organizations that I'm a member of, and right now we're working with Utternick and her name is Ruby. Oh my goodness, I forgot her last name, but we're creating like a Rate My Social Worker app. So that's pretty cool because we think that it's really important for people to be able to rate their social worker and the quality of their work. And even like we had a question that people were like, oh, it seems like the same question, but your social worker could be cool, but they don't give you like resources that you're supposed to have, or they could be horrible and not give you resources or maybe they do give you resources but they're just like so mean and like don't really help you or something. So it's really important because I know I had like a super racist social worker, like super racist. Like she didn't give me a bus pass and then she said like the judge wouldn't give me one, and then she would sign off. That's what my judge told me when I had to stand in front of the court, and she would sign off and say I was getting my bus pass. But and then she went to my school after I did that and told them that I should get, you know, a truancy ticket for not going to school. But how can I if I don't have a bus pass? But anyway, so definitely doing something like that, and I'm gonna pass it on to someone else.
Thank you. How about Gilberto?
Sure, yeah. I would like to definitely finish up my undergraduate courses at my local community college. And as of late, dabbling into like the presentation and all that. I've been very interested, I guess, in getting started in this project in the sense that like there's so many programming languages that do so much. So it's really interesting to see like, you know, that there's so many branches in this tree, you know, like controlling like the processes of like the traffic or even with the LADA and the watering of the plants. Like I would really love to, in addition to following up with my school, like be able to, all the while attending school and finishing up school, even create one of, you know, R&D, you know, those components, you know, like the, you know, the sensors or you know, the hardware and like the software version of it. So something like that. I'm very excited to see what the future holds.
Thank you. How about Aleda?
Yeah, well, right now I'm still a student and I'm actually transferring this semester to CSUN. I would love to you know, continue with Vega or make it become true, you know. I'm still at this point, I think, figuring myself out still at the same time because I'm still young and everything like that. But I'm going to continue doing my social work and trying to make as much change as I can in my community and everything like that. So yeah, I think that's my future for now.
All right, I just want to make sure that I missed Sergio. I know he had to run at some point. I just want to make sure I don't skip him in this opportunity to speak. No? All right. Well, at this point, I think it's time for Kim Watson. She's one of my favorite people in the world to come up and talk about the future of the next cohort and what we can expect from these programs. Thank you, Kim.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're 1 minute. Well, it's 10:30, so I will keep this short. If anyone needs to hop off, I totally understand. But I just want to lead with saying, you guys, all of you who have made it to this call, to our first AI pitch session for our community youth, thank you, thank you, thank you. This program would not have been what it has been to our youth if it wasn't for you. Tavia, if you can run those presentation. I'm not sure if you can or cannot while I'm talking, but I would love for
that me?
All the wonderful partners and the stories. Yes, Alexis, absolutely. I mean, the stories that were phenomenal. They, you know, they really shared their essence and their core, not just the educational piece, but the personal piece, and showing that, like Aura, you know, real humans. Byron at Lockheed, awesome. He's on my board, as well as Tavier. Thank you so much. View. Just amazing last point. I really enjoyed how stigma in that area. Thank you, Guy at SciFind. Yeah, a bit of lag. Okay, well, it'll catch up for sure. And I just wanted to say that our next cohort will start in May, early May. And we have a list of interested youth, but we still are looking for more. So if you have any USA, I've also connected with most of you on LinkedIn already under my name, Kim Watson. I also want to mention partnerships. We are definitely, we have partnership opportunities. You can partner such as being a guest speaker, like all of the beautiful you're seeing right now on the screen. Is met today actually get into the workspace and help contribute, you know, even further to this very important work. And with that, I'll just close it out by saying thank you to the team, go team, Project Joy team. So we Burden, who is our project assistant. She does so much behind the scenes. She is our backbone. And then of course we have the Mr. Derek Gordon, who is our classroom facilitator and youth leader. So I just want to say thank you guys so much. And thank you to our cohort. You guys were an awesome cohort number one. It's hard being first sometimes, but you definitely set the bar super high for the next 4 cohorts that we'll have, because we will have another 4 cohorts this year. So thank you. And thank you, Aura, for the wonderful curriculum. Yes. And Christina for your support. Derek, do you want to say anything? I heard your voice.
Oh, sure. I'll just add on that like through this program, I also learned a lot along with the cohort. I learned how AI is already here, and I learned about the risks and the rewards. But most importantly, I learned the importance of educating and training our youth for future careers in AI. And with that being said, I'd just like to thank everybody.
Angelissa,
Yeah, just thank you. And like Derek, I've learned so much, and I just want to thank the cohort because they taught me so much.
Party are still here. All right. Well, thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. We so appreciate you, and let's stay connected. And thank you, cohort. Woo! Yes. Cohort 1.
Wow.